Let's have a look at the most popular operators in Elm. Arithmetic operators work like their equivalent JavaScript operators. Adding two numbers returns the expected result. Similarly, for subtraction and multiplication, division returns a float result. A major difference from JavaScript is that appending string values has a special operator, a double plus instead of just one plus. The idea is that Elm is strict about data types, and this operator makes it clear that it's dedicated for appending values, while a single plus is for adding numbers. Here are the Elm comparison operators, which work quite similarly to JavaScript. The larger than operator can compare numbers and return true or false. There is also a larger or equal comparison, which returns true when comparing a value to itself. Also, there are smaller and smaller or equal operators with the expected functionality. Since Elm is strict about data types, the equality operator in Elm is similar to strict equality checking in JavaScript, since Elm requires both values to have the same type. Watch out! The inequality operator in Elm uses a slash instead of an exclamation mark. Both values must have the same type, which means that the Elm inequality operator is similar to the strict inequality operator in JavaScript. Functions are super important in Elm, and even operators themselves are just functions behind the curtains. Let's take a very basic addition operation. 1 plus 2 is 3 in the Elm REPL. 1 and 2 are input parameters, and 3 is the output. The plus acts like a function that takes two numbers as input and returns another number as output. Actually, entering plus within parentheses returns its type annotation, which shows that plus is a function that has a first number, a second number as input, and it returns a third number. This also tells us that the plus function is not going to accept some other data types as input. For example, a string plus an integer is going to return a type error. For the above example, it should work since 1 is a number, 2 is also a number, and it returns the number 3. The same goes for the other operators. They are functions which expect and return only values according to their type annotations. Let's run a demo to play a bit with Elm operations. First, we are going to try some operations in the Elm REPL, and second, we are going to update the web app so that it displays a greeting and the number of products in the shopping cart. On the demo machine, switch to Visual Studio Code. To keep Elm Reactor running, click the plus sign to open a new terminal. Then type Elm REPL so that we can try a few operations. 10 plus 10 equals 20, 20 minus 5, 15. No surprises here. Of course, we can multiply, 5 by 5 is 25, and also divide. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Operators are functions with a special order of arguments. For example, enter the multiplication symbol within parentheses, and we get its annotation. We can actually do something funny and call the multiplication function like this. Multiplication, then the first argument, and the second argument, all separated by spaces. We get the same result, although this is less convenient than using the multiplication operator directly. To append or concatenate strings, use double pluses. Entering hello plus plus world returns the expected string. Let's have a quick look at the type annotation for the equality operator. Notice that it expects two arguments of the same whatever type, and it returns a Boolean value. For example, the number 10 is equal to itself. What happens if we compare the number 10 with the string 10, like this? JavaScript would return true. Notice that Elm returns a type mismatch error, since it really needs that both values have the same type. The nice thing about Elm is that its error messages are helpful. This message includes a hint to use string from int to convert the number to a string. Now, let's update our web app so that it displays a welcome message and an integer with the number of products in the shopping cart. Greeting is now a string. Let's refactor it into a function that takes the number of products as an integer argument and returns a string with a message. Start by changing its annotation. add the integer argument input type, then the arrow to the return string type. Greeting is now a function with an integer parameter. Let's call it count. Now update the string to be returned. Instead of hello world, change it to welcome. You have then the number of items plus plus count plus plus items in your shopping cart. The red squiggles indicate an error. Since count is a number, we need to convert it to a string, which we can do using the string from int function. The error is fixed. Press Ctrl S to save the file and auto format. Finally, the greeting function needs a number argument here. Let's add a 0. We have an error here, so let's hover the mouse over it to get more details. It's a type mismatch error. The HTML text function expects a string. Instead, it gets the greeting function. However, greeting of 0 should return a string. Therefore, we must use some parentheses to force this part to be executed before this part, so that the text function gets a string input. Add parentheses around the greeting call and save the file again. Now switch back to the browser and refresh the page. Congratulations! The web app displays the expected message. Operators are very useful for implementing business logic, so let's look into conditions in the next clip.